When kids just won't listen, parents often feel stuck between two choices: to give in or get angry. It's exhausting. We give you the top techniques directly from the experts, helping you on your path to a more peaceful, respectful, and joyful life with your kids. Krickett Jones Halpern gives us insight on teaching a growth mindset to young kids. She is a child development specialist, author-illustrator, mother, founder and CEO of Drum to Learn, founder of Making the Arts Real for Youth, the MARY Foundation, and Krickett Enterprises, all using the creative arts as vehicles to help children develop healthy methods of expression, coping skills, and building greater confidence. She has more than 25 years of experience working with young children, using her creativity through art, drumming, and her children's books. She builds and improves social and emotional skills among children from the ages of 2 to 5 years. Of course, we're going to talk today about how to get kids to listen. Krickett specifically enumerates 3 steps to learning, discusses how she uses brain development charts to get kids to participate, and shares strategies of using short, clear dialogues, giving choices, and asking questions in order to manage more than 20 preschool-age kids in a classroom. If you'd like to hear more about how she does that, stay tuned. Here's Krickett. Krickett Jones Halpern, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thanks for being here. My favorite first question, what is it that you love most about working with kids?
What do I love most about working with children, with kids? I love to guide them to think for themselves. That's my core. That's what I'm about. I love when they get a skill and then they burst out with a feeling of proud of themselves. So they burst out with a smile. I also love helping them handle their big feelings, because that's what I do a lot. I work on feelings.
Yeah.
And then I help them build their self-awareness and their emotional resilience and help them regulate.
All right. And
did I give too much?
Well, no, I don't think you gave too much. What I heard is that you love to guide them or maybe nurture them in their self-expression and thinking for themselves.
Yes, absolutely.
They really take that to the next level as far as people you could work with, because when they have something new, they really explode with it.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's what's so cool, that feeling when you see when I work with children and I see them actually get it, like their mind just went, oh, I got it, and they just smile, and that's so interesting because they I mean, it may take them time and practice to get to that point, but they actually feel it, or they're understanding it, the feeling or whatever it may be that we're working on. I think it's so cool. I just love it.
You are a child development specialist, and you're also a founder of a company called Drum to Learn.
Correct.
And that incorporates drumming.
Drumming and social and emotional skill building. The way I kind of explain it is that we help with social and emotional and brain building through a framework of drumming for 2 to 5 years of age. So we're not a music program. So we mostly work on the social and emotional pieces.
So what is the main thing that you would say you've learned in that capacity from working with kids?
What I've learned working with kids over the past 3 decades is that they're capable of learning and thinking for themselves and doing for themselves. That's what I've learned the most, is that they're capable of this. Where it depends on wherever their developmental level is, but they are capable to learn, grow, and improve their knowledge with awareness.
Can you tell us more about the specific environment that you're working with kids in? And just tell us about that, about what it looks like.
Okay. What it looks like is that we bring a drum for each child. So we do have sometimes 20 children, sometimes more, and the teachers. So we sit in a big circle. Everyone has their own drum, and and then we pretty much play games. Building resilience, and maybe they're brain building games or about feelings, and then we're just one after another, and then I watch the development and where the children are, and then if I depends on how often I go. If I'm there week to week, we build. So if I see that they're learning an activity, then we add on to it.
So you have 2 to 5 year olds, you have 20 of them, they've got drums, and you're trying to explore with them around their feelings and around building resilience. Can you tell me more? What's the process like?
So, well, it depends on where they're at developmentally. But the basic core, simple part of it is we introduce, before they enter the circle, I have some guidelines. So that there's some rules, kind of like rules, if you want to call it, in the circle. So when they're needing more, they're having something going on, right, emotionally or sensory, something's happening, I can always get their attention. So we have where I ask them for their hands up. So then we raise their hands up and then fold them and hold them, and that way I get all their attention at the same time. And then once they're in the circle, and they're all drumming, and it's loud, and they're crazy having fun, then I'll say hands up, and then fold them and hold them. Now I have their attention, and then we go through the opening of the circle, which is just depending on, it might just be ringing a triangle. And then later it grows to be talking about the instrument, the percussion instrument, how many sides, how many corners, and then each activity will grow. But then we just, after the warm up, we jump into maybe the brain development part, where we'll learn some repetition or some rhyming, and then we'll move to the next activity. There's a lot of turn taking, which I believe is important for young children to learn. Sometimes they are okay with waiting their turn, or sometimes they get disappointed, and then we work on that. And I work on with affirmations, and so we have one affirmation that is pretty much our core affirmation, and it's a rhythm that we do, and it's called "Bounce Back Like a Ball," which is hence my book. Yeah. And then we do our activities, and then we close the circle, and then the next time, when they come, they grow. We see where they're at, and we grow. And I usually have classes back to back. Like I'll have 4 classes in a row, or 5 classes at some schools.
The first thing you're doing when you have them is, before you open the circle, you already have let them kind of have their fun in an unstructured way with the drum.
Yes. After I give it the guidelines, then when they come in, they're very impulsive, and they really want to just feel the drum and hear it and, experiment. Yes, I let them have it, let them have that experience. And then when I see it calming down, then I get their attention by raising, hands up, and then fold them and hold them.
So you're kind of waiting, you're gauging the room to decide, when you see that energy die down a little bit. Mm-hmm. It's not just here, I'm going to set the timer for 20 seconds, but you're already engaging with where they are that particular day.
Yes, absolutely. And then depending on the age, sometimes with the older ones, they are quicker at regulating their body and calming down. So we then move to vibration. So at the beginning of their circle, we'll put your hands on your drum, and then we feel the vibration, and and then they say mindful. And then I come around tapping the buffalo drum, and they're, so amazing that they get to the point with practice that they can have their hands on the drums. Some of them close their eyes, and they just feel the vibration, just focusing on their breath, and then we move on. I mean, it's so you have like 20 some kids all focused on feeling the drum. I mean, so, of course, some of them have sensory, so they need more help and more support, but they get there with practice.
Yeah. It sounds like you have all kinds of opportunity for kids to run amok,
Yes.
to make noise. You've given them noisemakers,
Mm-hmm.
and you're asking them to, to do more than just bang on them.
Mm-hmm.
So, what are some of the challenges, and can we talk about how you are addressing the problems that I'm sure come up with 23-year-olds and drums?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. It just depends what comes up in the circle, depending on where they're at that day, and also depending on their developmental level. So their sensory, their emotional level, their behavioral, and then so a lot of times the teachers are there. Well, they are there. Their teachers are there to help facilitate the classroom management, and I'm facilitating the drum circle. So I don't have to discipline when I'm in a circle. So at least I try not to. What I do is if they're not listening and I can get their attention for the most part by doing the hands up, fold them and hold them. But if they continue, then what I try to introduce is just a growth mindset to help them to participate. So I have props, if you want to call it, charts. And I'll at the beginning when we do our warm up in the very beginning, the guideline and the little meeting that I have, we'll go over those charts. So they're about bubble space. So they're about keeping your hands to yourself. They're about that's one chart is a bubble space, and then the second one is I call it a learning ladder. So it's just a ladder of different, like it starts at the bottom where it says I won't, and then it moves up to the top where it says I did it. So then we talk about the learning ladder, and then my phrase and my affirmation is keep learning, keep growing. Practice makes us better. And then as they learn and they keep hearing this in repetition week after week and during the drum circle, they end up saying better back to me. So I'll say practice makes us, and then they all say better. And then my third chart is the brain development. It's a pie chart. And then it's about the green zone. There's the different zones of the green zone, blue zone, and then there's red, and there's a combo zone. So then we go into the green zone, and that's where we talk about it's good to participate. That's how we learn. That's how we grow. And then, so I kind of like trying to help their mindset. And if their mindset is like fixed, like they don't want to do it, they're, or they're sad, then we, over time, I just try to shift it a little bit more and more. And then eventually, they do turn around, and then they start realizing it's okay to participate. It's okay to listen.
Yeah, that's amazing that you're able to communicate with so many of them, especially using, you're talking about charts, and they've got drums, and it sounds like these are preschool age kids. So it sounds like you've tapped into something there with the drumming that's got their attention in a way that going in without that, I don't know if that could be done.
Right. No, I agree. Yeah, because they like the drumming, and it's fun. The games are fun. We sing songs, and you know what I mean? There's a lot to the circle. They don't really know what we're really working on. They just think we're having fun and playing. And that's where my tagline came in. It was like, it's playtime with a purpose. So we're playing, but there's really a purpose behind what I do. Even every word that I say in the circle, I've worked on the curriculum for, I'll work on last year I was really working on feelings. So I really had to examine I can't introduce, 25 feelings. So we introduce certain feelings and really worked on, we don't need this one right now. We don't need that one. And then get the dialogue down so that they remember. And then when it's repeated to them over and over and over, that's when they really will gather that information and take it and bring it to them, to their brain. And hopefully keep it with them, right? For years to come.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I don't want to jump over the questions that I had kind of talked about with you.
Mm-hmm.
I know, talking about specifically, quote, getting kids to listen.
Mm-hmm.
Is there more that you wanted to share about about the process there? Or, I mean, you've talked about having the hands up, hold them and fold them, fold them and hold them. Is there more that you'd like to tell us about that?
I think the drumming, that's really all I help. I mean, I do help with a lot of things during the drum circle, but as far as it just takes practice to get, to listen and to be a better listener, and then to follow along and participate, and then to grow. I mean, to really figure out where we're working with growth, with brain development, crossing the midline, motor planning. I mean, everything that we're working on. So they have to get past that feeling of they need to feel, calm and get in the green zone, and then they can move up the levels of engagement. And then once we work with, I see where they're at. What's interesting, and I can see, even though I have so many children, I can know where they are, and I can help them, and I see where they need to grow. Like, say they have feelings of disappointment because they didn't get a turn, then, I'll just say, it's okay, maybe next time.
Yeah.
And then that's all I say. And then they eventually will understand, it's okay. Yeah, maybe next time. And, and I don't give a lot of words. My dialogue is very short and sweet.
I also, you talked about how it's going in the day. Like, I think you may have been talking about time of day. Is that right?
Time of day, yeah, depending on where they're at emotionally, meaning like, so something could have happened or been going on, earlier that day or that morning when they were coming to school, or the night before, or situations happen. Life just has happened. So we just kind of, once I see where they are, and what they can handle, then we move through it. And if they can't, I just have my same dialogue. It doesn't change. And then I even have the kids telling me the same dialogue back, because of repetition. So that's really, I like that, because that means they're really paying attention, and the 3 steps of learning. So they're paying attention, they're remembering what happened, and then they have to retrain their brain, which and they create that pattern in their mind. So then they're telling it back to me. Like, they'll tell me, I'm green zone happy. They now understand that brain development part, that they need to be happy to learn. Because that's what I'll say, what is this? And they'll say, first I tell them it's a pie chart, and then, what is this? I say, pie chart. Then I'll say, what is this? They say, green zone. And I say, what happens in the green zone? And then they say, we learn. Because I've taught them that's where we learn, is in the green zone. We can't learn when we're in the red zone or the blue zone or the combo. We have to calm our body, take our deep breaths, whatever we need to calm our body with, and then we move to the green zone. And they know this now. Like, if I worked with them throughout the year, the older ones for sure are getting it. The younger ones are just repetition right now. They're just understanding that it's a green zone, or they're understanding what it might, the basic parts of it.
Yeah. So you're helping them build that repetition and that pattern. And in my worldview, I might call that kind of a habit building.
Yes.
With a good sense, in the good sense of the word.
Yes, absolutely. And it's all good for them, right? It's all good to help them learn to regulate and putting the little tools in the toolbox, keep gathering some more coping skills to figure it out, to take with them. So when they move to the next year, next grade, whatever, next level, next journey, they can hopefully have that in their pocket, in their box.
Yeah, and it's easy to overlook with ourselves and with children. If something's not really a pattern or a habit, what's the likelihood that we're going to get it right on the second try? I think that often isn't a part of the conversation when we're talking about working with other people. In this case, kids. How are they building the habit? How are they establishing the pattern?
Right. Yeah, so they can remember it when the moments come up of stress or, sadness, that they can remember to calm their body, and bounce back like a ball, like calm it down, and then we bounce back like a ball so we can grow, move forward, and enjoy our day.
You had described that process as like attention and then memory and then retraining.
Yeah. I've learned that I might have gotten this from, I have older boys, and my oldest one looks at YouTube a lot. So he's 16, but when we're working on things, like, it seems like we're working on them at the same time. And so he found this YouTube video which right now I can't even remember what it may be, but they were saying there's 3 steps to learning. So, and it made sense when I connected it to drumming. And then when I connected it to other things, I was like, yeah, that makes sense. So yeah, the first step is you have to pay attention. Because if you're in sadness or you're too much sensory happening, you can't pay attention. So the first step is to pay attention. Then the second one is to remember what happened. So if we're learning a pattern, they first have to pay attention to the pattern, then they have to remember what happened, and then the third step is they have to retrain and create a pattern in their mind to learn that pattern. And I've learned that they start from scratch every time. So every time I see them again, the repetition is key, because again they have to, if they remember it, then they're already on the step 2. Oh, they remember it. Oh yeah, I remembered. Tap, clap. And then they have to retrain and create that pattern in, and then pretty soon they'll get in that groove, and then they got it.
And you're not going into any of that until the state or until they're regulated or feeling happy, because you're saying that it's not going to be effective if they're not in a certain state of mind.
Absolutely, yeah. There's levels of engagement. So and in the circle, the levels of engagement, it's all different. I can't get them all green zone happy at the same time. So I may get, and depending on where they are developmentally, like I may have 3 people that are green zone happy and they're learning, and the others, they're still trying to be calm, and they're still trying to feel safe. They might be emotionally, nervous or scared, so they have to work through that first before they can move to the part about that they can pay attention. And it takes time.
Do you have any recommendations if a parent is thinking, oh, I should go out and buy a drum and figure some of this out? Do you have any recommendations that could be specific about what kind of equipment they might want to look at, or are there books or websites about that someone could try to do some of this on their own?
So I do get that question a lot from parents. So it depends on what's their interest. Like if they want them to learn rhythm or pattern, and they're interested in drumming, so then they go buy a drum, and then they can figure out pattern and rhythm. If they want them to learn to pay attention and to focus and concentrate, then there's other ways. If they want them to learn to feel safe, maybe they're buying the drum because they want them to feel more comfortable with everything. Then, so like with that, I would say you need to go back down and start reading to them, because then reading books about feelings and about, so they can get their attention and learn the different, the basics in a sense, so that they can feel what they feel and what they know how other people feel. So they start learning the empathy part. So it kind of depends on where, the question I mostly get from parents is, are they getting it? Are they learning it? Are they really understanding what's happening? Because they might think they're too young, or they're, and then I just see where they're at, and see if they can learn, like if they're ready to learn yet, or they're too scared still, like they're too, or maybe they're too young. Maybe they're young and developmentally they're still growing, they're still learning. So it's a little tricky question, because it depends.
Yeah.
But I do say, if they're interested and they ask me about a drum, I do say, oh yeah, then this is where you can go buy a drum. So that way, because they have that interest, and then we go from there.
Okay. And do you have any resources that you recommend around those books, or anything that you find yourself handing out to people or recommending to people most?
Well, I think just the same that I said, but I mean, I have written a couple books and illustrated, and so sometimes when I talk about our affirmations that we drum, then I'll talk about my book that is the main one that we drum. It's like the core of the drum circle, which the affirmation is bounce back like a ball. And then, which is based on feelings, and we'll go, over time I explain that to the kids. And then they, it depends. Sometimes they get it, they eventually, a lot of them do get the understanding of that metaphor.
Yeah. Tell me more about your book. Is it for children or is it for adults working with children?
It's actually for children, like preschool age, up to like, I mean, when I was writing the book, it can actually go up to like fifth grade, but because it's a mindset, that you're trying to figure out. And I have older boys, and when I was testing it with them, I was like, oh yeah, this can go up to like, fifth grade. So I thought that was great, but mostly it's for preschool, like 2 to 8 maybe, is what I kind of maybe gauge where it might be.
I'm assuming it incorporates some drumming in it.
Yeah, actually it does. It's my second book, but it does actually have a drum circle. It's about a drum circle. And so the first page opens up and all the children are sitting at the drum. And it's about a little girl who is disappointed. She gets disappointed because she doesn't get a turn. Her teacher doesn't pick her she doesn't pick her for a while. And then the teacher helps her through that process it's okay to, maybe next time you'll have a turn. And then it goes through and then she kind of gets it, the understanding, and then she helps a friend her friend in the drum circle that, I never get a turn, he says. So then she helps him, and then he finally gets a turn, and then they kind of go through it as the other friends get a turn. It's okay, maybe next time. We bounce back so we can grow, move forward, and enjoy our day. So it kind of helps the children understand to think of others, and which we do in the drum circle too, and to, it's okay if you didn't get a turn, maybe next time.
And you did the illustrating on that book too?
I did. Nice. Yeah, I couldn't believe I did. I mean, I'm an artist, but I don't know why. When I wrote the book, I didn't think I could illustrate it for the odd reason. I don't really know. And then I checked into finding an illustrator and realized I could not afford one. And I wouldn't even own the artwork if I did. And so then I thought, I'm going to do it myself. So I did. That was my first book. And then the second one, I was, illustrated. And now I've illustrated another one, my third one. I just illustrated for a friend, and I'm on my fourth illustration.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm almost. That one's going to come out soon.
Huh.
Yeah, so it's it's practice.
Yeah, you've exemplified that learning and practice
and building resilience, right? Figuring it out.
Taking on something new and scary and making it work.
Right. Exactly.
Where can people find you online?
Online, I have a website, my Drum to Learn. So they can Drum to Learn, DRUMTOLEARN.com. And then I have Krickett Enterprises.com. That's where you can find my books. And the books are also on Amazon.
Is there anything that we skipped over? Is there anything that you would like to add to this conversation before we say goodbye?
Well, I was going to say, because I wanted to help also. I mean, I kind of touched on like for drumming and how I help children hopefully be a better listener or pay attention, at least to kind of get to the understanding of those steps and where to, to participate. But I also have, since I've been in the field for a while, I have other suggestions, ideas that I would like to share and see if, maybe it might help someone. So
this is kind of putting the drums aside.
Yeah.
Stuff. Great.
Yes. Yeah. It's putting the drums aside because that's one hat, and now the other hats are like right now I'm doing a study and I'm in a classroom. So I'm in a classroom. I'm doing a study for one of my books. So I'm helping a friend, and it's a 2-3-year-old classroom. So they're 2 and 3s, but I also drum at the school, so I know the 4-5s. But in the classroom, with 2 and 3-year-olds, I'm like, ooh, this is tricky because they're very tricky, and they don't want to listen sometimes, or they're impulsive, And so I just by doing my little study, I've come up with some dialogue that I hear other teachers say, and I kind of pieced it all together. So, and it does help. It helps the children. So like if in the case of a child that still doesn't want to listen, and they sometimes are testing, or they're impulsive, and then I'll say I need them to come to the circle time, or I need them maybe at home. You need them to come to the table to eat. I don't know. So I would say I can help you, or you can do it by yourself. Your choice. And so then that really helps the kids really hear it very clear and matter of fact and very short dialogue. So that's really has been helpful for me with my little study that I'm doing. And then if they come to be where they don't listen, right? It's still like they're choosing not to follow directions and they still need more support. My dialogue then it could be I have a few strategies that I figured out. And one could be, I have asked you to come to the table. I'm going to help your body. So then I go and I kind of help them over to circle time or to wherever is needed to go so we can keep continuing with our day. Or I could say, it's time to clean up now and go outside, put the books back on the shelf. And then that's the first dialogue. And what I'm figuring out now is that I can add that second part. I could change that second part as we move along throughout the year, and they start developing their mind in their, figuring out and growing. Then I can say, where can you put the books back on the shelf? Like I can ask them, and then later I can say the books go on and then they have to think, because that's one of my I love doing is helping kids think for themselves. So then they have to think, oh, where do they go? And then eventually, hopefully, right, they would it's time to clean up. It's time to come to the table. And then they would go and think for themselves and do it on their own. So that's one little thing where I'm at right now. Because I'm working on a book. Yeah, and it's really been helpful, and it's interesting to watch and I've been there 6 weeks now. I'm going to do an 8-week. I'm there for 8 weeks. So I have a couple more weeks in the room just helping out, but also I'm figuring out it for my next book. So I'm kind of like, oh, this is a win-win, win-win.
Yeah. What I heard from your technique was that you are giving choices, you're asking questions, and I also really like the half of a sentence, leaving the end of the sentence blank for the child to fill in.
Yes.
Is a nice collaborative way to come up with something.
Right. Absolutely. And then when they do, I praise them. Oh, that was a great job. Let's move. Let's go outside. Our friends are outside. Or we need to get our shoes on. We need to run out the door. Whatever it is. But yeah, I think it's really been beneficial. It's working.
Yeah. I'm glad you were able to share that with us. I was all caught up in drums and thinking about.
Yeah. And then it's funny because I thought, you know what, I'm going to see what else I could share with you. And I have another way that I help with. So the drumming, of course, there, and then I'm in the classroom now. So that's where I'm at. And then I also have 2 boys of my own, 12 and 16. And so throughout that, I've learned how to help them be better listeners. And also, just a quick fun fact, my drumming program was born from my older son. He's now 16, but when he was in 3rd grade, I was wanting to help him learn to cope, to learn to have more coping strategies. He has Asperger's, and so he has a hard time with a few things, and he has a lot of sensory. So that's why I created my program for him, and it did help him. And then I realized, oh, wow, okay, now it can help many other children. And as I went along, I had to figure out how to help Javen, my older son, and Sterling, my younger son. And then, but what now works, and it's been working for years. So when they choose, because they're older, right? They're, teenager, almost a teenager, they choose not to listen, then, or follow along or help or anything, when I ask them and I, ask them to do something, maybe, go take a shower and then, or go brush your teeth, right? And they don't listen. Then I just say one word and I say, acknowledge. Yeah, I say acknowledge. And then they need to acknowledge what I said. Then they say, okay, Mom, and then they usually kind of go, oh, and then they get up and do what they're supposed to do. But if they don't, right, they don't get up and do after I say acknowledge, and then because usually I'll ask what I request and then I hear nothing, right?
Right.
And then I say acknowledge, and then they say, okay, Mom, and then that's what makes I know they understood me. They understand what they need to do. But if they don't listen, then I just explain to them that you've that you need to be responsible. You said you were going to go and get up and go brush your teeth. You need to be accountable and you need to have integrity. So that's how I handle my boys, and that's what helps me.
So you're reminding them of their kind of agreement, or you're giving them a reason.
Yeah.
Rather than just coming down with a consequence or something.
Right. Absolutely. And then now I'm trying to help them with time management. So then I'll just say, what time is it? And then they'll figure it out. Oh, I need to take a shower. I need to do my homework, and then I'll just kind of help them with their time management.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm sure we could go on about that.
I know. Yeah.
I know there's a lot of ins and outs, but I've learned a lot already, especially about the that kind of memory and habit part of things.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting.
And how you can get a group so big of people so young in tune and paying attention through something that's really, really so simple.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, banging on a drum. That's
right.
That's something that everyone has access to, really. I'm assuming that you can use a stick and a log if you don't have the resources to get a drum.
Yeah, I know. Some teachers even use like oatmeal containers, empty ones. They turn them over. Something. They're very creative. They can find different things that are relating. Like that can be a drum. It can be a drum.
Great. Well, we will put links to your site and everything we talked about. We'll put that in the show notes. And
thank you.
Krickett, thank you so much for sharing your time and your wisdom today.
Thank you.
I really appreciated you coming on the show and talking to us about something that we haven't talked about on the show before. So that's opening some new doors and expanding some minds. I hope it was helpful for anyone listening, and I know I enjoyed the conversation. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, James, for having me. It was a pleasure. I just enjoyed it all. Thank you so much.
All right. Well, and for everyone listening, we'll catch you later. Thank you.
Bye-bye.